I'm all alone. I'm all alone. Tell. Oh, this song is it? I'm all alone. I'm all alone. Hurrah, hurrah. Gonna take up your hands up. Why, hello there, noble Bulgarian Muesli. You can find the PowerPoint in the voice chat, and you can join YouTube live if you wish to. أهلا مريم. أهلا وسهلا to everyone listening. Okay, thank you. Inshallah. Tak apa, no problem, no problem. No problem. Yeah. Don't worry, not everyone's gonna talk. It's just me basically. It's a class, right? In class, most of the time, shut up. Should I start? Should I start? Should I just keep doing the drums? Alright, I'll start it. It's me again. Whoa. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's me again. Or as I like to say, Ahlan minna. Yes, I've combined two languages. Right. Hello. Yes, if you're new here, welcome to the GTA. I mean the TGA server. Um, yes, I am a VTuber. Welcome. This is normal in this server. If you're new, this is normal in the server. Okay. Right. So this is the third installment, or third class for the introduction to Hadith sciences. If you've not seen the first two, I highly recommend you see the first two. Okay. And yeah, so inshallah we'll be going through the what do you call it? We're going through the yeah we're going through still going through Hadith. We'll be going through the five conditions of Hadith Sahih today. If you have not downloaded the PowerPoint slide, it's available in the voice chat. You can find it there, inshallah. And for those that are unable to join on Discord, you may join through the YouTube Live. How some people are joining. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. All right. Let us begin. Right. Hello. It's me. Let me just do something. All right. Right. So this is the third installment of the introduction to Hadith classes. Yes, to Hadith classes. To Hadith sciences. All right. Very nice. So last class, right? We went through the we went through the conditions and what are the conditions of Hadith Sahih, and yes, and so now we will start on the conditions, like what really are the conditions and explanation of each of the conditions of a Sahih Hadith. All right. So as we mentioned, there were five conditions for the Hadith of Sahih. The first condition is that the sanad, or the chain of transmission, has to be connected, right? That is the first the first condition. The second condition is that that all the narrators should have dabat, or what is dabat, or should properly preserve their narration. The third condition is that all the narrators must be righteous. The fourth condition is that there should not be any shudud, right? We'll explain what that is. And the fifth condition is that there should not be any illah. We will also explain what that is, insha'Allah ta'ala. Right. So let us begin. Okay. If you I really recommend if you also look through the first two classes, right? If you've not done so, because this class builds heavily on the previous two. Yes. So the first condition, okay, as we said, the first condition in Arabic, it is called ittisal. Okay, now ittisal literally in Arabic means a connection, right? So that's why when when we call someone, right, or there is a call, we say there is an ittisal. There is a call, like when you're calling someone, right? There's an ittisal because there is a connection between you and that person. For example, if you want to say internet terms, lost connection, then in Arabic we would say qat'ul ittisal, or literally the cutting of connection, which is basically what lost connection means. Now, the first condition for a for a sahih hadith, a hadith, if you wish to grade it as a sahih hadith, then we must we have wait, let me just right. So the first condition, okay, of a sahih hadith is that it must be connected. It has to have a connected chain of transmission. What does that mean? It means that there in the sanad, right, as we all mentioned, what is the sanad? The sanad is the chain of transmission, right? The chain of transmission, every single narrator must have heard the exact matan, right? Must have heard that hadith from the one above him. Okay, is that understood? Yes. So what does that mean? That means if we have a chain of transmission, right? This person from this person, from this person, from this person, all the way to the Prophet, right? Then we must confirm that each narrator has actually heard this specific hadith from the narrator that is above him, or his sheikh, that is, if you wish to we expound more. So, right, is that understood? Yes, that is understood. So how do we know whether a chain of transmission is connected, right? So first of all, we must know, right, were they living in the same era? Okay, this is very this is very this is very clear. If, for example, a narrator says, I heard this hadith from someone, right? And then when we look at the birth dates, for example, or the death dates of these two narrators, we find, for example, that it is not possible, for example, that this narrator heard from that narrator, right? So, for example, if I were to narrate from, for example, a narrator who died, for example, in 1997, right? Or, for example, he died in the year 2000, right? Because I was born in the year 1997. If I say, oh, I heard from this certain narrator, but when we look at compare the dates and the tarikh, we find out that it's either impossible for me to meet that person, either because I was not born yet, or it was impossible because I would only be 3 years old, for example, or 2 years old, or a year old, right? If I really did meet this, what do you call it, this narrator, right? So that's the first condition, that is al-mu'asarah, that they must be living in the same era. The second condition is, was it possible that they have met, right? Imkan al-luqi, right? In Arabic, imkan al-luqi. Was it possible that they have met? So, for example, so in the past, right? Obviously, now we have planes and stuff like that and cars, so it's quite easy for us to actually go and meet a specific narrator or specific person. But in the past, obviously, as you know, there were no planes, there was no cars, there was no teleportation, for example, and so people had to take camels, they had to ride horses, right? They had to walk all the way from their country, for example, in Bukhara, which is currently in Russia, all the way until, for example, Mecca or Medina. It would take months, 6 months, 4 months, for example, right, for them to meet this person. So and for you to travel that distance, not very easy, right? You have to have all sorts of food. You have to have the proper equipment, right? And people along the way might have died, right? It was very common for a person to die while traveling in the past, right? So in fact, in Indonesia, for example, because as you all know, Indonesia is very far away from Mecca and Medina. If a person in the past, probably in the 1700s or the 1800s, right, when people still would, if they wish to travel to Mecca and Medina, they had to take a boat, right, a very rickety wooden boat. So they all, in fact, when they were leaving for Hajj, right, they were all like cry and hug each other, and they all treated as if it will be the last time they will meet that person, because the trip there took 6 months from Indonesia all the way to Mecca and Medina, and because they were riding a rickety wooden boat, with probably like 5 nails in it, there was a big possibility that the boat will sink, and then they will never meet each other again. So yes, it was quite difficult for people to meet in the past. So the second condition, right, or second way to find out whether a narrator really did hear from the narrator above him was, is it possible that they have met, right? So usually when a narrator, he travels, they would write down, for example, Imam Nawawi said, I traveled to this country and that country and I met so and so and so and so, right? So, for example, so if a narrator says, I met this person, we look, did that narrator, right, actually travel, and was he actually in that certain country where his sheikh that he claimed that he listened to, was he actually there, right? So yeah, that would be the second condition. The third condition is, did they even meet, right? Because Baghdad, for example, and Syria they are very big countries, right? You can't just, in the past, you can't just take a train, to go meet a certain sheikh. Even when a person was in that country, there is no guarantee that they actually met, right? So as for this third condition, right? So for example, this third condition is a condition for Imam al-Bukhari radiyallahu anhu. So Imam Bukhari in his Sahih, he specifically mentions, not specifically, but he mentions that for him to consider that a narrator met, or a narrator actually heard or is connected to another narrator, there must be a sort of specified. It must be specified properly that this narrator actually met this narrator, right? So the narrator must actually write, I met so and so, right? It would not be enough just for them to, it is possible for these two to have met. or they lived in the same area, right? For Imam Bukhari, he actually stated that they must have said, "Oh, I met so and I narrated from him this and that hadith." Yes. So this is a condition for Bukhari, right? As for Muslim, he did not actually specify that this was a condition. So for Muslim, for Imam Muslim radiallahu anhu, it is enough, right, for these two narrators to have possibly met, right? I'm putting up the two, quotation marks in my hands, but you cannot see it because I am a YouTuber. Has to be possible that these two, these two narrators have met, right? They don't need a specific detail that says, "Oh, I met so and so." As long as they probably have met, they are around the same era and the same area, then khalas, it is considered as if they have met. Okay, very nice, understood, very very good. Now, some terminologies, right, used by narrators to specifically mention that he has heard from the one above him. Okay, these terminologies are used in the books of fiqh, right? The books of hadith, when the narrator wishes to clarify that he himself has specifically heard from the narrator above him, right? So for example, the word haddathana, right? So haddathana literally means he has narrated to us, right? He has narrated to us haddathana. Okay, so here the narrator, when he uses the word haddathana, he has narrated to us, this specifically means that that he has heard this exact hadith from the one who is above him. Okay, this is a so it's a specific term. Now I've written beside he has narrated to us the word thana. Okay, tha and noon and alif, right? This is an abbreviation. Okay, so if you open up books of hadith, you will not find the word haddathana written out in full. Okay, you would not see haddathana, this whole thing. You would mostly see this thana. Okay, and this is a short form from the word haddathana. Okay, other words used is akhbarana, or he has informed us, which is abbreviated to ana. Okay, so if you see the word ana in books of hadith, this does not actually mean ana, which means I or me, right? This actually means akhbarana, he has informed us. So you would see ana Yahya. That doesn't mean I am Yahya. It means Yahya has informed us. Okay, so keep in mind if you read books of hadith. Amba'ana, right, as well. He has told us. He has told us. These three terminologies, they all mean similar things, but most of the scholars, they actually say like there is a specific difference. What these specific differences are, this is not a topic for this lesson. We will we will cover it inshallah. We won't cover it in this this introductory course inshallah. Now the third terminology, amba'ana, right? It is short form to na, like literally just na. Okay, so when you see it in the books of hadith, you don't recite, right? Na Yahya. It's amba'ana Yahya. Okay, he has told us. Another one is the fourth one is sami'tu, which literally means I heard. Now most of the time you would see this as well in the books of hadith, used by the companions, where they would say, I heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, sami'tu Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam yaqul, this and that. Okay, now obviously there is no short form because sami'tu is short. I'm not sure why they have short forms, because technically sami'tu is around the same length as amba'ana. Wallahu alam, yani. You know the muhaddithin, they're weird people. Right, why does this look cut off? Now, these terminologies are used by narrators, right? The previous terminologies, they are used by narrators that specifically want to mention that he has heard this hadith from the narrator above him. Okay, because when someone says haddathana, right, he has told us, right, this means that this person has has met this person, right? If I said, Nishardi, right, haddathana Nishardi told me, this means that I have in some way met Nishardi. It is not possible for me to say, oh, Nishardi told me, but he didn't tell me. Okay? But there are still some terminologies used by muhaddithin, by narrators, right? But it is not specific, or it is not specific that this narrator has actually heard this hadith. Okay? Whether or not the narrator has actually heard this hadith or not, that's a different point altogether. Okay? But these terminologies that are used here, right? That you see here, these are terminologies that are used, right, when the narrator is not specifically trying to say that he had this hadith from that person. Okay, what does that mean? That means there is a possibility that the person who narrated this hadith, he did not hear this hadith from the one above him. Okay, there is a what was that? There is a possibility that this person did not hear the hadith from the one above him. Okay, this doesn't mean that he did not hear him. What it means is there is a possibility only. Okay, so some terminologies that are used are the words qala, right? He said. I can say qala Nishardi, right? You all know who Nishardi is, right? Right? Qala Nishardi. Or for example, the ones in the call, hadithin. Oh, sorry. What I mean is muhaddithin are the scholars of hadith. That's what I meant. So if I say, for example, qala noble Bulgarian, right? The noble Bulgarian has said. I have never met noble Bulgarian in my life, right? But am I lying when I said, for example, noble Bulgarian said this? I'm not lying, right? But I've never met him in my life. I can still say qala, right? I still can say he said, right? If he's a male, that is, right? It is still possible. So these, or for example, if I say I'm noble Bulgarian, from the noble Bulgarian that he has said, okay, fine, sorry, from noble Bulgarian, right? She has said this and that, okay? It is still possible for me to say that. But you don't really know whether I've met noble Bulgarian or not, right? This is a terminology that is used, but there is no specific mention whether I've met the narrator or not. Is this understood? Right? So how do we know whether then is this chain of transmission considered connected or not? That's a more advanced class, right? Where we talk about tadlis and mudallisin. Okay? Very nice. Now, if a chain of transmission is not connected, okay, if it's not connected, it is considered not muttasil. There are different types of broken chains, okay. If a sanad or a chain of transmission is not connected, it is considered broken, okay. What then do we call this chain of transmission? There are many different types, okay. Now some of these types I've mentioned here. The first one is munqati', right here, munqati', where it literally means it's been cut or broken off. So here munqati' is used when a single narrator has been dropped. What does that mean? Let us move to the whiteboard. The whiteboard is not displaying. Please wait for a while. Where is my whiteboard? Whiteboard. Oh, whiteboard. Is it this one? Is it? Oh, it is. Right. So, right, let's use names, okay? We have, let's say, Noble Bulgarian. Noble, can you all see this? Noble Bulgarian. Okay. She narrated it from Wesley. She narrated a hadith, for example, right? From Wesley. Okay? And then she narrated it from Maryam. Oh, Wesley, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. I'll assume it's a guy now. Right? And Maryam, okay, she narrated it from Babel Hacker. Okay? You all have weird names. Now, Babel Hacker, okay, he said, what would he say? He said, fries ROP. Okay, this is an example. Okay, there is no hadith like this, right? Let's just move this away. Okay, so here we have Noble Bulgarian, right? Where she, what's going on? All right, she narrates a hadith or a saying from Wesley, who narrates it from Maryam, who narrates it from Bebo Becker, where he says fries are OP. Okay, this is not a real hadith, obviously, right? But let us imagine. Now, this is, let us assume, right, first of all, this is a connected chain of transmission. That Noble Bulgarian has actually met Muesli, and Muesli has actually met Maryam, and who has actually met Bebo Hacker, okay? Where Bebo Hacker said fries are OP, right? As we have mentioned, this is what we call the matan, right? Or the actual speech. This is called the sanad, right? Or the chain of transmission. Okay. Now, Noble Bulgarian has heard from Wesley, has heard from Maryam, has heard from Bebo Hacker, who said fries are OP. Now, this sanad, then we will call it muttasil. What does muttasil mean? It's connected. So this is a connected chain of transmission. If I, however, were to drop a narrator, so for example, I erase Maryam. Okay? So, Noble Bulgarian narrates from Wesley, who narrates it from Bebo Hacker, right? But we assume now that Muesli has never met Bebo Hacker. Okay? So now we see there is a drop. There is a missing person. Right? This sanad now is no longer connected, right? Because there is a dropped person. So we call this munqati, which means cut. Okay? Cut off. Why? Because there is a single person missing from this chain of transmission. Okay? A single person who is missing from this chain of transmission. This is what we call munqati. Okay? If you see the if you see the PowerPoint, it says munqati. Okay? Now, in the PowerPoint, right? The second, this is when a single narrator has been dropped, we call it munqati. The second type of broken chain is what we call mu'dal. Okay, mu'dal literally means problematic, right? This is a problematic chain. Now, the scholars of hadith, they say that a chain is mu'dal or problematic when two or more narrators have been dropped, but it has to be in a row. Let us return to the whiteboard, or blackboard technically, right? So, let us return. Now, Noble Bulgarian Muesli, right? What do you call it? What was it? Maryam. Okay. And Bebo Hacker, who said fries are OP. If we dropped only Maryam, right, this would be called munqati. But if we dropped both Maryam and Muesli, right? What is wrong with the... okay. If we dropped both Maryam and Muesli, it seems to be stuck. Wait for a bit. Why is it stuck? Oh no. Rotate. Is there something wrong? Oh yeah, it's okay. This is great. It just got stuck on the screen. Now, let us imagine then that if we drop Maryam and Muesli, right? If both Maryam and Muesli are gone from this chain, right? So basically it's Noble Bulgarian immediately to Bebo Hacker. Noble Bulgarian immediately to Bebo Hacker, right? Then this hadith, right? This chain of transmission, we don't call it munqati, right? Because now there is not a single person, there are two people dropped in a row, right? So if there are two people dropped in a row, we call this hadith now mu'dal, okay, or a problematic hadith. Is that understood? Very nice, right? So it has to be two people dropped in a row. Okay, now it's working. Okay, so if both of these are dropped, right? So if we drop both Maryam and Wesley, and immediately Noble Bulgarian says, I heard it from Bebo Hacker. Okay, I heard from Bebo Hacker that fries are OP, and there is two, what do you call it? There are two, people missing, right? And these two people occur in a row, right? Then this is what we call mu'dal. Now, okay, is that understood? This is what we call mu'dal, right? Or a problematic hadith. If two people are dropped in a row. Now, the third one, right, as you see here, is mu'allaq, or literally hanging. Now, this is if the whole chain has been dropped, right? If we return to our example, we need to add more people, okay? Now, there's more people joining, so... Oops. So, let's say, now, Noble Bulgarian, who did he narrate it from? Wesley. And Wesley, who narrated from? Maryam. Okay. And Bebo Hacker. Okay. Now let's add some more people. So for example, who else? Automobile. Okay. Yo, what's up? Automobile. Okay. Narrated from who's narrated from? Me. Okay, Aber. So Aber narrates a hadith from Automobile. Okay, who narrated the hadith from Noble Bulgarian, who narrated from Wesley, who narrated from Maryam, who narrated from Bobo Hacker, where he said fries are OP. Okay, this is the whole chain of transmission. Now, if I were to erase everyone in the chain, including myself, right? Just erase everything, right? And I just said, Bebo Hacker said, fries are OP. Okay? This hadith is now called mu'allaq. That's on him. Mu'allaq. Which literally means hanging. Basically, it's left hanging. Right? Where did you get this hadith from? Who narrated to you? I don't care. I erased the entire chain. Right? So most books of hadith, not both, sorry, some books of hadith, you will find this, right? Where the narrator just immediately says, Ali radiyallahu anhu has said. Right? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said. Right? These hadith, they are called mu'allaq, right? Or they are left hanging, right? Because the narrator, the hadith master, he has not mentioned his chain of transmission to the Prophet or to Ali radiallahu anhu, and so he has left it hanging. Okay, is that understood? Very, very nice. Very nice. Very good. Okay. Now let's continue. Where were we? Oops. PowerPoint. Right. So these are, oh yeah, there's one more. So these are the three types of connected, what do you call it? Cut off. There is munqati, broken off, where, as we said, a single narrator has been dropped. Mu'dal, problematic, where two or more narrators have been dropped in a row. And mu'allaq, right, where the whole chain has been dropped, as I mentioned now. And then there is a specific type of of broken hadith, where it's called mursal. Okay, you may have heard this in some books of fiqh, right? Where a mursal hadith, right, is a very specific hadith. It is where a companion has been dropped between the Prophet and a follower. Okay, what does that mean? That means a follower, right, a tabi'in, he has said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said. What does that mean? Let us give an example. Okay. So, for example, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Innamal a'malu binniyat." Okay, this is the hadith. For example, he mentions a hadith, right? For example, let's give a random companion. Let's say Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, right? And then Umar, for example, let's give a random follower, Ata ibn Rabah. Okay, this is a follower. A tabi'i. Okay, this is a companion or sahabi. Okay, and then this is the Prophet, obviously, right? That's right, Prophet, Nabi. Now, so what is a hadith mursal? A hadith mursal is where the follower immediately says the Prophet ﷺ has said. Right? So basically he has dropped a companion. So Ata bin Rabah radiallahu anhu, the follower, the tabi'i, he immediately says the Prophet ﷺ has said. Okay? Now obviously the Ata bin Rabah has never met the Prophet ﷺ. So we know that there must be a dropped companion somewhere. Okay? So what is the hukum of this hadith? For most of the cut off or broken chains of hadith, usually the grading of that hadith is that it is a weak hadith. Okay? Why? It's because when we have dropped a narrator, now we don't know who that narrator is. Right? For example, if a person, he says, "Oh, I heard so and so and so has said this," right? But we do not know who he has heard it from. So now his source is a bit sus, right? Where exactly have you heard it from? Right? If he does not mention it to us, then we cannot accept the hadith because we do not know how his narrators are. He could have been just plucking these hadiths from thin air, or he narrated from a sheikh or from a narrator who is not a righteous person, for example. So we do not know. So in that case, we immediately grade the hadith as da'if, as a weak hadith. Okay, this is all understood. Very nice. Now, as for mursal hadith, right, which I have mentioned, a hadith where a follower, he immediately, narrates that the Prophet ﷺ, he has said something, right? There is a difference in opinion, right, among the four schools, the four madhabs, right? The Shafi'is, the Malikis, the Hanbalis, and the Hanafis. The Shafi'is, the Hanbalis, they do not accept this kind of hadith, right? The Hanafis, if I'm not wrong, also do not accept these kind of hadiths. The Shafi'is also do not accept these kind of hadiths unless there are certain conditions, right? As for the Malikis, they accept these kind of hadiths, right? Why do they accept these kind of hadiths? What is the reasoning behind that? What are the conditions that the Shafi'is use to accept these kind of hadiths? That's a very advanced class, and that's not something we will touch upon today. You just need to know that there is a difference in opinion when accepting these kind of hadiths. The hadiths of mursal, right? Very, very nice. Okay, so these are the type of the type of narrations. The second condition, okay. The second condition that it has to be fulfilled for a hadith to be graded as sahih. Okay, for those of us joining now, you can see that there is you can download the PowerPoint slide, right? If you wish. Okay, there is a PowerPoint slide in the voice channel. Sorry. Right. The second condition is dabtur rawi. What is dabtur rawi? As it's translated here, I translated it as preservation of the narrators. What does that mean? That it means it is the ability of the narrator to preserve a hadith. Okay, either through memory, or through writing. Okay, so basically the narrator must have a strong must remember and must memorize this hadith strongly. Okay, it wasn't that difficult for the Arabs in the past because they mostly what do you call it, they were pure people, like we have said, right? They did not have the internet to mix them up. They did not have other things. They don't have they lived healthily, so their memory was very strong. Okay, so it's either through memory that they were able to memorize these hadiths very strongly, or right, they were able to preserve these hadiths through writing. Right, the narrators were able to preserve these hadiths through writing. So the condition for a person, to a narrator, to preserve a hadith through memory is that he must be able to strongly remember the hadith. Okay, so that he may be able to recite it whenever he wishes. Hello, chicken sandwich, don't worry, you're not that late. Kind of, right? The narrator is able to strongly remember the hadith. Okay? Note, I've used the word strongly because for a sahih hadith, for a hadith that is sahih, right, or hadith that is sahih, right, rigorously authenticated, right, the person must strongly remember the hadith, must have a strong memory. If the person's memory is not strong, it is okay, right? It is a decent memory. Then this hadith is no longer sahih. This hadith is now hasan. Okay, it cannot reach the sahih level. That is the difference between a hadith that is sahih and a hadith that is hasan. A hadith that is sahih has these 5 conditions, and the preservation of the narrator for this hadith is strong. The narrator has a strong memory. But for a hasan hadith, these 5 conditions still exist, but the narrator's, what do you call it, the narrator's preservation is it's, you know, it's okay, it's you know, it's right there, it's over there, it's not bad, right? It's not strong, but it's not weak as well, right? It's not weak, but it's not strong. It's a, you know, it's like a 70-80% memory, we call it memory power. Then we grade this hadith as hasan. We do not grade it as sahih, but we do not grade it as da'if as well. Okay, so that is a memory. If the person has a strong what do you call it, has a strong memory, then we say that this is sahih. If what do you call it, if the person has a okay memory, we call it hasan. If the person has a weak memory, then we grade it as da'if. Okay, but how do some scholars like Sheikh Albani rahimahullah authenticate some hadith? Okay, I've talked about Sheikh Albani, right, radiyallahu anhu, in the previous lesson. Okay, and when I talked about what do you call it, for Albani, no, like he's okay, according to majority of hadith scholars, he's not actually a scholar of hadith. Yeah, he likes to do those kind of things. He likes to narrate this. He likes to grade. The problem is that he grades hadith. Okay, I've talked about this in the previous lesson, but if it is not possible, right, for people to grade hadith now that they are they are able to grade a hadith, for example, as da'if or mawdu'. Okay, because in the previous lesson, if you look through the previous PowerPoints, I mentioned, not I mentioned, I mean, like, the scholars have mentioned, right, when they talk about, is it still possible for people to grade hadiths? So Imam Nawawi and Ibn Hajar have all said that yes, it is still possible for people to grade hadiths, but they can only grade a hadith as sahih or hasan. They cannot grade a hadith as da'if or weak. Why is that so? It's because, right, it's not just a, what do you call it, a made up thing, but it has actually happened before. The chain of transmission that you have found, right, that chain of transmission may be weak, but there is still a possibility that you have not found other chains of transmission in other books of hadith, right, which narrate this exact same hadith, but it is a sahih or hasan. Okay, it is a sahih or hasan chain of transmission, which, like I have mentioned, has exactly happened in the Ihya Ulumuddin, right? The book written by Imam Al-Ghazali radiallahu anhu, where a lot of people, they not a lot of people, just some people, some of the not actually scholars, some people, right? Okay, some are scholars. I can't actually say that. Some people where they say, oh, Ihya Ulumuddin has so many hadiths that are, what do you call it, that there are no such hadith or mawdu'. That is wrong. What has happened to my? Oh yeah. What's this? That is wrong. Okay. Al-Imam Al-Iraqi radiyallahu anhu, right? He tried to find all the ahadith, right, that were mentioned in Ihya Ulumuddin. Okay. So he found all the hadiths, right, that were mentioned in Ihya Ulumuddin, except for, I think, 13 or 39. What did I mention? What did I say last class? I don't remember. Right? Except for a handful, not a handful, maybe less, around 20, maybe, no, it's 13 or 39. I don't actually remember the number anymore. Right? A hadith, he could not find the chain of transmission. Did what do you call it, Iraqi then say, oh, these are hadiths that are mawdu'? No. He actually only said, I have not found the chain of transmission. Okay? You see, this is the adab, this is the manners of the people of hadith. And then came, what's his name? Az-Zabidi, right? Who is a Yemeni. Imam Az-Zabidi, then in his, what do you call it, his explanation of Ihya Ulumuddin, the book Ithaf Sadatul Muttaqin, he said he found the rest of the ahadith that Al-Iraqi was unable to find. Right? So sometimes in certain places, Az-Zabidi would say, Al-Iraqi said, I could not find I could not find this hadith. And then Az-Zabidi would say, nay, I have found the hadith. It is mentioned in this and this book and that book. Right? Like I said in the previous class, hadith books are not only the 6 that you all know, like Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Abu Dawud, and An-Nasa'i. Right? These are not the only 6 books. Right? I mentioned last class that in my what do you call it, in my tab that I have, right, I have 150 books of hadith. Right? Just and my hadith teacher, when he looked at it, he was like, oh, this is an okay library. Right? 150 around there, right? Books of hadith. So there are a lot of books of hadith, right? And so Imam Al-Zabidi, he found most of these hadiths that what do you call it, that Iraqi couldn't find, but he could not find 4 hadiths, right? So from all the thousands and thousands of hadiths that I mentioned Al-Ihya Ulumuddin, right, he could not find 4. And then there was a doctor or a modern scholar who found 3 more, right? And so there was still 1 more hadith. So basically now there's only 1 hadith that cannot be found in Ihya Ulumuddin, which I think from thousands and thousands of hadith, that's a pretty good score, right? From 1 out of thousands and thousands, just 1 hadith that cannot be found. I mean, that's a very good thing, right? So the problem with Albani, right, going back to Albani, is that he says, like, sometimes, like, Tirmidhi himself, the great scholar Tirmidhi, he has said, this hadith is sahih, this hadith is hasan, right? And then comes along Albani and says, nope, it's da'if. Like, who are you, right? Albani didn't even study with proper sheikhs. He read books. That's all he did. All he did was read books, right? And then he called himself a sheikh. I'm not sure whether he called himself a sheikh or other people called himself a sheikh, right? This is not my speech. This is a speech of, what do you call it, current scholars of hadith, like actual scholars of hadith, like Sheikh Sa'id Fuda and stuff like that. Okay, how do people hundreds of years later say it's so and so? That's the study of hadith or jarh wa ta'dil. How do they find out whether it's what do you call it? Did this person actually meet this person? Right, that's a whole different story. Okay, and we don't have actually much time in our class. Right, I think we can only go through the second condition. And the third condition as well. What is adoptur rawi? Let's go through this, right? So memory, like I have said, if the narrator has a strong memory and he strongly remembers the hadith, what do you call it? He strongly remembers the hadith, then he may be able to recite. Yes, your camera is visible. I can see your cat. The narrator is able to strongly remember the hadith, then he, what do you call it? Then he is considered a sahih. This hadith is considered sahih. If he is weak, then he's considered da'if. But if he's neither strong, neither weak, he's okay, then he's considered hasan. Okay. As for writing, all right, it is if the narrator is able to preserve the hadith through writing, right? That means he writes all the hadith that he has heard, he writes it in a book, right? And he is able to protect his book from being changed, right? From the time of his writing until he's able to narrate this hadith, right? Now, this is important because there have been certain mishaps, right? Where some scholars, they write books and books and books of hadith. They've narrated, they heard from this sheikh and that sheikh, and they what do you call it? They have written books and books of hadith, but their library burnt down, right? Either through arson, or it accidentally got burned down. I think it happened in one of the libraries in Baghdad, right? And so he lost all his hadith, right? And sometimes these people, then the scholars of hadith just say, unfortunately his hadith, his library burned down, and so we can no longer accept hadith from him, right? Because the problem is that he did not memorize his hadith, right? It's been narrated that Imam al-Ghazali radiallahu anhu, when he was in his beginnings, right, when he was still studying, he had brought books and books, right, and then he was carrying them on his camel. He was traveling with some people to another place, and then up came some highwaymen, right? And they started, ransacking. They started stealing stuff, pillaging. So the highwaymen went to the Imam Ghazali and they took his books. And Imam Ghazali said, "No, that's my knowledge right there. That's my books. Those are my books. That's my knowledge." The highwaymen looked at him and said, "This is your knowledge? How easy it is to steal a person's knowledge," right? And so Imam Ghazali was taken aback, and he thought, "Yeah, that's true, right? If my knowledge is only in books and only something, and I did not memorize it, then all you have to do is burn down my books, take away my books, and gone. I have no knowledge anymore." So from then on, Imam Ghazali strived to memorize every single thing he read. Right? It's been narrated as well that some of the scholars said that true knowledge is not in the sutur, or not in the lines, or not in the books, but true knowledge is in the hearts of men, or in the chests of men. Right? So have fun memorizing. So yeah, the person's ability. Yeah. So if the person's ability is neither strong nor weak, right, it is a decent ability to memorize the hadith, then his hadith is considered hasan, right? And how the scholars, they grade this, they say typically the scholars grade the narrator as la ba'sa bihi, right? What does la ba'sa bihi literally means? No, there is no problem, right? He's like, there's no problem. Yeah, it's okay, no problem, right? Or saduq, or truthful. He's like, yeah, he's okay, he's truthful. He can memorize hadith somewhat, right? If the person's ability is weak, however, then his hadith is graded da'if. Now, some names for this narration, for these narrators who either cannot memorize hadith properly, right? They are quite strong, right? But this is knowledge, right? Because this is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So some of their speech could be a bit, strong. So sometimes they call a narrator mughaffal. Mughaffal means what do you call it? Mughaffal means idiot. I thought it was hasan if the hadith is weak. No. Hadith, there is three types, right? Hadith sahih, and hasan, and da'if. So hasan is a lower value than sahih, but it is still close to sahih, right? And then da'if is weak. This is weak. So hasan is not weak. Yes. What was I talking about? All right. So sometimes they will call a narrator mughaffal, which means, not idiot in that kind of sense, but idiot as in like he cannot memorize anything, he doesn't know anything, just an idiot, right? Mughaffal, immediately just reject the hadith. Or he kathirul khata, right? Or makes many mistakes, right? So some people, like when they narrate things, they just they accidentally mention this, or they just make a lot of mistakes in general, then this person is considered da'if as well. Or they say yakhlit, right? Or he mixes up, right? Sometimes he sometimes we what do you call it? We narrate this hadith. We thought is this hadith, but it's actually another hadith, or we mix up the speech of someone, right? So this person, the scholars of hadith, they say, oh, this person yakhlit, or he mixes up. Or sometimes when people get old, they're 100 plus years old, we call them kharif, right? Or they're just old. Kharif means like when people get old, they just start forgetting things. It's like dementia, right? Yeah, something like that, right? So sometimes when dementia hits, the scholars say, oh, too bad, this person has been hit by dementia, so we can no longer accept his hadith because he forgets, and we cannot. This is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? We must protect it at all costs. So as soon as you say, oh, this guy is a bit too old to narrate hadith, just sit down. It's okay. Just worship and inshallah you pass away soundly. Yes. Now, the third condition, right, is unfortunate because we do not have much time, right? I only went through 4 slides. Now it's already 1 a.m. For me, yani. And so this class is about 1 hour. So inshallah we'll go through the next 3 conditions in the next class, which is next Saturday, inshallah. I don't know where the usual people are. I see Chicken Sandwich, I see Caesaron. I don't actually know to narrate, but I don't know where the rest of the usual people are. Okay, I see a lot of new people, alhamdulillah. Okay, you got question? Chicken Sandwich, you have question? Non-Sheikh Albani slander? Let me tell you something, sister. Slander is permissible in certain places, right? As the scholars have mentioned. One of them is that when you have to explain that, for example, a person has made a mistake, right? Because this is something related to the religion, right? You can't just make things up, right? This is something plain to religion. A religion is very important. So you see many scholars, right? I can probably give a book or something. I'll find it later, where they talk about Albani and his mistakes that he made, right? Obviously, all they talk about, scholar's name is created Sheikh Albani. Just look at the entire Al Azhar, right? And then this is basically all the scholars. Sheikh Sa'id Fuda, Sheikh Muhammad Awama, right? But obviously, right, the thing is, the slander has a point. You can't just go, oh, okay, Albani, for example, he makes mistakes, and he cannot be, for example, cannot be guaranteed, or you cannot make him as a source for hadith gradings, right? But that's all you go to, right? The scholars then don't go, oh, by the way, he doesn't pluck his hair, or he doesn't pluck his, or he doesn't do this, doesn't do that, right? That's not related to the religion, right? So that's where they stop. That's haram, right? But when we're talking about things related to the religion, right? Then that's the point you can go to, right? You cannot go any further. Yeah, my copy but echo timing, yeah, probably. Brother, this is very related, but can you somehow illustrate how big the difference between modern standard Arabic and Quranic Arabic? English grammar same, like sentence structure. Modern standard Arabic, right? The thing is, I don't actually know the difference. The modern standard, I know Quranic Arabic, which is Fusha, obviously, but modern standard Arabic, what exactly is MSA, right? Is MSA, it's not exactly what do you call it, a lahja. So it's basically a dumbed down version of Fusha, right? The grammar it should be the same. It is the same, right? Obviously, sentence structure in Arabic is not it's not what do you call it? It's not the sentence structure, like in Arabic, sentence structure isn't really an important thing, right? But if you kind of know, if you know MSA, you can understand the Quran. But I warn you against using the exact same vocabularies, right? The Quranic vocabularies, right? They are vocabularies that are used during the time of the Prophet and before the time of the Prophet as well, right? So it's old Arabic, right? You cannot use the exact same Arabic from now and that time, right? Obviously, but what do you call it? What are some examples, right? But basically yes, the vocabulary is not the same. So if you wish to understand the Quran, right, and modern standard Arabic is decent, but I prefer if you wish to study understand the Quran properly, right, you might as well just learn normal Quranic Arabic, Fusha Arabic, right. And honestly, even the I've watched some of the channels and the newspapers. They are some of them like they have mistakes, right. So for example, this is just a very like niche example I have in the top of my head. The plural for wazir, right, or minister, okay, most not most nearly all newspapers and all Arabic channels, right, they will say the plural of wazir is wuzara, right. Sorry, the plural of mudir, right, mudir means what does it mean, manager, right. The plural of mudir is mudara, right. The plural of mudir is mudara. That is grammatically, that's not grammatically, that's like like sort of wise, like according to actual Arabic, like normal Arabic, correct Arabic, that's wrong. You don't say the plural of mudir is mudara. The plural of mudir is mudirun, right. But you always see in Arabic, what do you call it, in Arabic newspapers and Arabic TV channels, they will say mudara, which is wrong, right. Another example is the word akfa and akifa, right, where they wish to say like, oh, these are what do you call it, people who are deserving, right, or who, yeah, deserve something, right. The plural of it, right, if you go on to what do you call it, on newspapers and on what do you call it, Arabic news channels, they will say akifa, right. The proper plural is akfa, right, because akifa literally means blind people. That's the meaning of akifa. But they say, oh, akifa, because they confuse the singular kufu and kafif. That's a whole linguistic thing. Where I learned Arabic from. Yes, I am still actually studying Islam, the Islamic sciences. I am a full-time student of Darul Mustafa in Tarim in Yemen. I'm studying in Yemen. I'm just currently now back in my home country of Singapore, because I am lazy. No, I'm just kidding. It's the holiday period during Ramadan, so that's why I'm currently in Singapore. But I've been studying in Yemen for 10 years, and I have 2 more years to go. Yes. Okay, look up. Yeah. So yeah. Any other questions? I like your cat chicken sandwich. Who are my teachers? I have a lot of teachers. Right, my main sheikh is Habib Umar bin Muhammad bin Salim bin Hafid. I have studied from Habib Abu Bakr al Adani. I have studied from this anime character listening from the khutbahs. If you wish to know Noble Bargain, you can go to Darul Mustafa. Just look up Darul Mustafa. Let me just type it down. Darul Mustafa. Okay. Yeah, Darul Mustafa. Yeah. Right. Darul Mustafa. Located in Tarim, Yemen. There are a lot of graduates actually in the UK. In America, for example, in the UK there is. Oh my god, I forgot. Yeah, there. In America, Sheikh Abdul Karim. No, not Abu Taymiyah. Dear God, no, not Abu Taymiyah. Not Abu Taymiyah. Oh no. Oh no. Not Abu Taymiyah. Dear God, not Abu Taymiyah. Leave Abu Taymiyah. Oh my god. Oh, you should ask the British people, man. They talk so much about Abu Taymiyah. Oh, he is a person, right? He came to Yemen. Okay, here's the thing, right? Okay, surprise, Darul Mustafa is a Sufi place. I'm a Sufi, right? He goes there, right? He studies like, no man, no, dude, he is oh god, oh, I can't be slandering people, but no, he does not what do you call it? He does not personify the manhaj, the path of Darul Mustafa. I'm sorry. On behalf of all the British, my British students and all the British people from Darul Mustafa, he's British, right? Or is he American? I don't remember. Do not take. Okay, you know, take whatever you want from him, but he is not a representative of Darul Mustafa. He is not considered. And yeah, it's a Sufi Islamic university. Not a university. Yeah, it's a university. Sufis. You're Sufis. Sufi, Ash'ari, Shafi'i, right? Wahhabi's worst nightmare. But no. He's not. We don't consider Abu Taymiyyah. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. There are other rich people, man, much better. I mean, I'm not saying he's some sort of fasik. No. Yeah. All right. Yeah. He's a yeah. All right. Yeah. The person tells you authentic hadith, he goes to listen to Aisha. Nah! The problem is that, oh, okay, he tells you authentic hadith, right? But what is his understanding of this authentic hadith? What is his understanding, right? Okay, yeah. Wallahu alam. That's all I have for today. Yeah. Inshallah. Inshallah, the next lesson will be next Saturday. Completely unrelated question, right? But yeah, the hadith will be there was this next Saturday, inshallah. But I think next Saturday is Eid, right? So I'll double check, see what I'll do. I have a surprise for the entire server, right? But I'll reveal the surprise next class, inshallah. It's pertaining to hadith and pertaining to chains of transmissions. Yes. I'm about to lead a prayer for Asr. Do I need to do it loud when leading it? No. It's still silent, yeah. Even if you're by yourself, it's still silent. What's this first condition, second condition, third condition? Is this the hadith? No. This is the first. There are 5 conditions for the grading of a hadith to be sahih. Yes. If you want, you can look through the past 2 classes. It's on my YouTube. It's linked somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. So, inshallah. So, have fun. No problem, man. No problem. Alhamdulillah. Why now? Why are now people joining? What? Why? It's usually full, but now there's only like 10. Ashishka. No problem. No problem. Right. What's your YouTube called? There is a link up here. Here. How do I reply to myself? Here. Right. People here are here for learning from Iggy. The people here are for learning from Iggy. Yeah, usually, yeah. But I mean, I try to set it as a time that most people are actually here, right? Because the problem is I live in this time zone, which is like GMT plus 8, right? So I'm not sure about the Europeans and the Americans. Wallahu alam yani. Hasn't been dhuhr from yet, eh? See? The world is round. Oh, your cat. Iggy. And make sure he doesn't lick himself in some strange places. Right then, wallahu alam, I'm off to play games. Okay? Wallahu alam billahi tawfiq. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us in this journey, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make sure that to make us be gathered with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of judgment, and that we obtain knowledge for his sake, inshallah. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. يسير الفاتحة إلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Oh yeah. And scream. Thanks for watching. The cut off.